Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Planet Knit podcast. I'm your host Sarah, also known as Silvani, Silvani on Ravelry, and Silvani_knits on Instagram. So you can find me there. It's been a while since I recorded and I feel really bad. I definitely didn't intend to go this long without recording. It's one of those things where I had life stuff come up at the last minute and I was tired and didn't think I would be entertaining. So I definitely intended to record. I just didn't get to it and I apologize for that. But I will do better and I promise that. So without further ado, let's get into the knitting segment. The first thing is whips. And I actually have a new whip for you guys. I know that most of November was like the same two whips. It must have been so boring. I am so sorry. But I've got a new whip now. And it's part of the Op Art Socks book by Stephanie Vander Linden. Right now I'm knitting all the way through that book. So that'll be really fun. I've already had a lot of fun with it. I've already knit, God, I don't even know how many socks from that book. You could look at my project pages, but a lot. I am a lot of the way through that book. And I have more to go. So basically, right now the one I'm working on is Fenny. I might have already said that. And it looks like this. I already have one sock done. And this sock has an unusual construction. Here's the heel. Basically, you start on one side with a provisional cast on, and you knit for a while, all the full length from the cuff to the toe. You knit that way for a while, and then you put some of these stitches on like a stitch holder or on scrap yarn, and then you keep going until you get all the way around, and then you graft along the side. Then you pick up stitches here. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. Buy the book if you're interested. But you pick up stitches here and you knit a heel flap and you turn the heel and then you do your typical like sock foot deal. But basically you knit two stitches together. Like you knit one of the stitches from your sole together with one of the stitches here. And you do that until you get here. You do a toe. And I think that that's a pretty standard odd sock construction. I don't think that's just in this book. So far 2 socks in this book have been knit this way. But I don't think it's typical to this book, or like I don't think it's a trade secret basically. It seems like there's a lot out there that does that to me. And also it's kind of difficult. Oh, and then at the end you pick up stitches at the top and do a cuff. It's hard to get your mind around, but if you do, like if you get the book and you follow the instructions exactly, you'll be fine. The one issue a lot of people tend to have with this type of sock is a difference in gauge. Like basically your row gauge is going to be different than your stitch gauge, obviously, and the difficulty that happens is that sometimes it gets a little baggier in the leg, or a little tighter in the leg, but usually the issue I see is it gets baggier in the leg than anywhere. And usually how I remedy that issue, how I did my Elbers socks, also from this book, I remedied that issue by using a 000 on the squares that made up this part, the main part of the sock, and I used just a 0 on the sole. With this sock I didn't do this because these are knit for my sister who wears a US size 4 foot shoe size, and that's small. And basically I thought that this sock pattern would be good to use for her because like I said, a big issue of this construction is that the leg is baggy and the foot is not. But the thing is with her feet and leg is that the length of her foot is significantly shorter than the normal or average foot. But her leg is about the same size. I mean, her leg's a little smaller, but it's not like she has like twigs for a leg. You know, she has a normal human-sized leg. She just has abnormally small feet. And Heather, if you watch this, I love you, and I love you just the way you are, and I don't think you're weird. You know your feet are small, and they are. So, don't be offended. So I have one done, and I've got the other one. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. So I started here with a provisional crochet chain, and I knit that way for a while. It curls, so. And then I put these stitches on yarn, and then I continue to knit this way. So then this is where I'll pick up heel stitches, and this is where I'll pick up cuff stitches. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, triple zeros here. It's insane. And then the yarn I'm using is, I've got Opal 4-ply. It's like 4 Fedig, or some German word that means ply. According to my German translator boyfriend. I'm going to take his word for it. And then this is my leftover Spud and Chloe Fine, or Fine, I don't know. This is a merino nylon, this is a merino silk. Both are machine washable and machine dryable, so this will be really durable. And my sister Heather did try on the sock, and it does fit perfectly according to her. Hopefully she's not just being nice to avoid hurting my feelings. So that's that. I'm really excited with how it's going. I am what was I gonna say? I'm having a serious case of second sock syndrome. Like, I didn't knit at all on Monday or Tuesday this week. Granted, I have not been knitting a lot lately. I've been tired, I've been sick, I've been busy, and those things usually involve just going to work and coming home and sleeping. So, yeah, I think that I'm not sure whether I actually have second sock syndrome, which is where, if you haven't heard of it before, it's where you get really sick and tired of the pattern and don't want to knit the second sock. I don't know if I actually have that, or if I'm just really, really sick and tired of knitting right now, or just don't have the energy for it. I don't know. Anyway, that's my whip. So, finished objects, I have 2. My November ones, which I still haven't shown you. One is the fabulous glaciation shawl, which I attempted to wear. I am not very good at wearing shawls, so I think that the comedy segment of this podcast will be Sarah trying to wear some shawls. So I wrapped it around, and it's really cool. I kind of want to take it off so I could show it to you. There's a lot of short row shaping, and I think you've probably seen most of it before. So this is an Elsadina yarn, and I have a blurb about Elsadina to tell you at the end. But I'll start at this end. This end, there's not as much, well, I don't know. You'll see. It changes. It's really cool. And look how much you can see me through it. Woo! Okay, so this is fingering weight on size 7, so you can basically see everything through the shawl. It's really cool. I love it. I love it so much. So, I think I showed you the right side. Yes, I did. So it's blocked in all its glory, and I love it. And thank you, Josh, for making this pattern. It was a mystery knit along. It is the Sort of a Knitter is the username of Josh, and Josh's designs are under Geonitrix Designs. So go check it out. And this again is the Glaciation mystery shawl. I think you can just find it if you search glaciation. So there's that. My other finished object was my Nanny Swemo sweater. I knit I Heart Iran by Tana Slavely. It fits me perfectly. I'm so excited. There are pictures on my project page. I knit it in Cascade 220, not the superwash version. So we've been hand washing it, and as a consequence, I apologize. It has not been washed since the last time I wore it, which hasn't been very long because basically I wear it whenever it's clean. I was trying to time that with when I recorded the podcast, like last week and the week before, but then basically what happened was that I didn't record and I still wore the sweater. So it got dirty and I cleaned it and then I wore it again and then it got dirty. So you get the idea. I'll see if I can't get the collar to behave. Since when I'm wearing it, the collar fits, like the collar is perfect. But when I'm not wearing it, the collar decides it has a life of its own. So this is the sweater. I've got the button and the cables and sleeves, obviously. So proof it's done. It's done. I made it. And a lot of other people did NaNoSwimo. Congrats to you guys. You rock! Now you have sweaters. Yay! If you didn't get all the way through, at least you'll have like a sweater for this winter, right? I mean, you finish it and it'll be awesome. Sweater is a huge accomplishment, and doing it in a month is not easy. I think I had kind of an easy time with this because even though it's a sweater, it's worsted weight, which is faster, and it's also like, I mean, I'm not exactly the skinniest person ever, but I'm also like pretty short. And so my proportions, like while my body mass index might be a little not the smallest, like my overall size is like, basically if someone were taller, they might be bigger than me even if they were healthier. Is what I'm getting at. So I didn't have very many stitches in this, like, it actually didn't qualify for NaNoSwimo because it was only 38,000 stitches. So next, I guess you live and you learn, and next year I'll knit a sweater with more stitches, and it'll be more of an undertaking. I'll show you this close up. This is the button I chose. I have to hold that closer. Here. And then sweater. Yay! Yay, sweater. Okay. Those are my finished objects. They're both pretty large scale. I mean, between the two of them, probably over a mile, or maybe just under a mile of yarn. So, plenty of work invested in those. Next, I want to do a UFO spotlight because I've been trying to work on my UFOs. I haven't done much, and I don't anticipate finishing a lot of my UFOs for a few months yet, but one will be done in January, and that is my temperature scarf. And let's see if I can't. This is gonna have to be. Basically, I've been doing this since January, and what it is every day. I think I've explained this before in a previous episode, but every day. Well, I don't do this every day, but I check the weather. I check the average temperature, and I do 2 rows that with a color that represents it. And I've got my color breakdowns on my project page, but I'll just show you the effect. It's really cool. So this is January, and there's someone here is February, and then it goes to March. I have no idea. April, June, and July. I have to untangle it. It's getting long. It's getting scarf length. I guess not long, but scarf length. This is the hot summer months. Here we go. It's starting to cool off. Da, 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 da. So this is November over here. And here's the November stitch marker. And then this is October stitch marker. So then this is September here between these stitch markers. So that's where I'm at. I'm in November. This month I'll catch up, and then after the first of the year I'll do the last few days, and then I've got all these ends. You see, it's kind of ratty. I was just gonna crochet around the edge as a border. So, and I haven't really decided yet if I'm gonna do one next year. I'd like to. But I would need to buy the yarn, and I have to think about whether or not I really want to do that. So that's my UFO, and it will be a FO in a few weeks. Yay! I do have a needle adjacent project to show you, a nap. I haven't been saying my cutesy headlines. I apologize. I spaced on them. Whips is in orbit. Finished objects are landed. UFOs are self-explanatory, and needle adjacent projects are on the launch pad. So what's on the launch pad is, I can't show you the pattern, I don't think, because it's a test knit. And maybe I can show you. Well, maybe I'll ask once I start it if I can show it off. But these are the yarns I'm using. It's a test knit. It's going to be a Mosaic scarf pattern. And I've test knit for this designer before, and I don't anticipate, I read over the pattern already, and I should have probably started it by now, but I have been busy being sick and not knitting. So I thought I would have had this done by now, honestly. But it's been a hectic few weeks. I keep saying that. You're probably bored of hearing about it. I'm sorry. I'll stop complaining. Basically, I don't think I'll have a lot of issues with knitting this pattern. I think that there's going to be a couple of things format-wise that maybe I suggest for clarity, because I've been doing a lot of mosaic knitting lately. Like this Fenny is mosaic knitting. So it basically mosaic knitting, if you haven't heard of it, I don't know how common this term is. It's basically where you do stripes and then you slip stitches to make a pretty pattern. So I'm excited. My mom's already claimed the scarf. The socks are for my sister. I really need to start knitting for myself. Granted, I did just make myself a shawl and a sweater, but I have a feeling that this shawl will become my mom's at some point. I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, but the problem is I have a lot of shawls because I enjoy knitting them. So maybe my mom will steal it. We'll see. I love my mommy, so she can steal whatever she wants. As long as it fits her and she wears it. So I guess that's my needle adjacent project, is a scarf. I don't think that will be a very particularly quick knit. I mean, it's a scarf, so it's worsted weight, so I guess maybe, I don't know. I'll see if I can have it done next week to show you guys. If not, I'll have Fenny done for sure. I have to get that off the needles. It's driving me nuts. So I thought I'd do a podcast spotlight, and I was looking through my previous podcast to see who I had spotlighted and who I hadn't. Because I probably should spotlight this particular podcast because I like it a lot and I watch it a lot, but they're kind of a big name. So the podcast that I was going to spotlight is Knitting in Circles, and I think that everybody who has ever podcasted has been inspired by those guys. Basically, it's a man and a woman, and they podcast together. They both knit, which is really cool. I actually found out about them before I really got into podcasts because I was at a knitting retreat, and like before I really got into podcasts, I was in a knitting retreat and somebody was like, "You and your boyfriend remind me of Amy and Darren." I think their names are. Anyway, I guess me and my boyfriend remind people of these folks, which I can kind of see in person. I don't think I'm that way on camera as much. I don't know. You guys watch it and you tell me. You tell me if I am like her. If I am, that's totally a compliment. To me, not to her, but I don't know. Maybe it's a compliment to her too. I don't know. But my point is, they're really well known, and they have a lot of giveaways, which is neat, and they always say interesting things about their lives. Like, they just have interesting lives, and they phrase the way they talk about them to be interesting. So I would not say I'm like, well, I like that podcast a lot, basically, is what I'm getting at. And I think that they're a really palatable podcast. Like, they're not for a certain type of viewer. I think they're just for everybody. So, yeah, you should check those guys out if you haven't already. And if you have, which you probably have. I mean, come on. If you're watching me, you have to be really into podcasts because I'm not a big name. So, yeah, if you haven't seen them, check them out. If you have seen them, great. Yay. I'll come up with a more interesting suggestion next week. I have been recommended a couple that I am checking out. Involves finding time to watch them, but you know how it goes. I won't complain about that. So for a product spotlight, my next thing, I usually in this segment, I usually spotlight, a product from a store that you can go buy. And this time, I actually am kind of interested in doing something a little different. I kind of want to talk about my weekend because I bought a lot of yarn. And I wanted to tell you guys which yarn stores I went to so you can go to them. I went to 2 yarn stores this past weekend. One of them was in Cambridge, Wisconsin, which is near Madison. My family is from Madison. I went home to visit them. And my dad's, well, I don't know how much personal information I should give away here. But basically, my dad knows somebody who knows somebody who has this yarn store. So, it turns out the yarn store owners are Trekkies as well. They, they have a dog, a puppy, a 3-month-old Jack Russell Terrier whose name is Mr. Sulu. So you should totally go to this yarn store, if just to talk to the puppy. I know if people are on yarn diets. I was on a yarn diet, and going into yarn stores is not conducive to yarn diets. Let's put it that way. But I went to this yarn store, and I got some stuff for my mom. We picked up some Noro for a cowl for her. I think I'm going to do like a short row wave cowl. I picked up some sock yarn for her Sock Madness in March, which I will be participating in. My mom picked up some buttons, which matched the yarn for her cowl. I think that's basically a summary of what I got. But yeah, they had a lot of stuff and a lot of nice stuff, and you should definitely check out the yarn store if you're ever in the area. So yeah, definitely in my top 5 yarn stores. The other one I went to this weekend was in Chicago, like the middle of Chicago, because after I visited with my family and attended to some other Wisconsin-related business, I went to Chicago to visit my friend Amelia of the Hops and Hanks podcast. And we got to meet for the first time in Meet Space, or real life as other people call it. So she took me around. We met at a coffee shop that she likes, and then she took me around to a tour of Milwaukee, basically. We went to Sifu, which is a yarn store, and then we went to Kuma's, which is a burger joint where all the burgers are named after heavy metal bands, which is awesome. That was great. So it was basically a blast, and I got home in Iowa at 2 in the morning, but it was worth it. It was worth every second of it. I would not have traded a second of that time for a second of sleep, because I am caught up on sleep, and I can always sleep more. Like, I can always go to bed sooner after work, but I can't always, be like, oh, well, I'll just catch up on Amelia time later, I can't do that. I only get to see her not very often. So, we're actually going to share a room at the Zombie Knit Apocalypse. We got a suite, and she's going to be in my suite on one of the, I have one of the rooms with my boyfriend, and the other room is hers. And I think one of our friends is coming too. And then in the middle area, we're going to play board games. So basically TLDR, or Too Long Didn't Read or Didn't Listen or whatever. Basically, long story short, Amelia is awesome. And I had so much fun. We went to Sifu, and apparently the owner of that is a huge Trekkie / sci-fi geek too. So I was basically in heaven this weekend. And I came away from it with so much yarn. I bought yarn for a couple projects I've been meaning to make for a while. I impulse bought a couple skeins. I bought some tools I absolutely needed that I couldn't find anywhere, including on the internet. Basically, a lot of yarn acquisitions. So I don't want to run through all of those, because I realize that I'm not the only person that tries to be on a yarn diet, and I really don't want to enable you guys if I don't have to. But yeah, I updated my stash pages, so check it out. I also, while I was there, Amelia got to give me the prize that I won on Hops and Hanks. So yay! It was basically the best weekend ever. So that's kind of what I've been up to. That's I'm in place of a product spotlight. I'm plugging Sifu. It's spelled Sifu in Chicago. Or if you can't find it, you should check my stash page because I have links to it. And then Kaleidoscope Fibers LLC in Cambridge, Wisconsin. So if you're in either of those places at any point in the near or far future, you should keep in mind that I said they were awesome and vouch for them. So, I guess the next segment is mission control, and I wanted to talk about a few things in this segment. I'm trying to keep my podcast a little shorter because it's hard to find 40 minutes to watch. I mean, face it, you could watch something that's way more entertaining like Supernatural or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Star Trek or really anything in 40 to 45 minutes. So I would like to keep my episodes a bit shorter. And if that means I have to talk faster and seem a little more spastic, I don't think I'll worry about that too much because I'm pretty sure I can't talk as fast as Josh does in his podcast, and he has a lot of fans. So, yeah. I think that if I'm talking too fast or if I'm doing something on the podcast that annoys you, please tell me and I will do what I can. But yeah, I would like to keep my podcasts shortish, which I don't know if that'll happen, but we'll see. I try to pack a lot in here, guys. Basically, the first thing I wanted to talk about in my administrative mission control section is knit-alongs. I love knit-alongs. I don't want to go a second without knit-alongs. The consensus of the crowd was, well, not really crowd, but a few people, was that in December they would like to knit something from their queue. I was a bad podcaster and did not podcast in time to set that up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, how about we do this? In December through January, so you could start it between December 1st and January 31st, as long as you are done by January 31st. Yes, January has 31 days. As long as you are done by the last day in January, it counts. I would like, I think knitting from your queue is a little vague because people use their queues for different things. How about we say knit something you want to knit for yourself? So as long as the recipient's for yourself. I know that this is the holiday season, but I think that giving the whole month of January will help, and I know that so many of you will have knit so many Christmas presents that I want to encourage you to do something for yourself and take care of yourself. I personally knit for other people a lot more than I don't want to say a lot more than I want to, because if I didn't want to, I wouldn't do it. But I tend to have a little bit of buyer's regret about knitting for other people, not because I want to take back what I gave them, but because my wardrobe's not full of knitting stuff, and I'm a knitter, and my friends and family's wardrobes are a little more full of knitting stuff than mine is. So I would like to fix that and knit something for myself in January. So yeah, you guys should totally join in on that and knit something for you. So that'll be through the end of January. Now, I might extend it in February, depending on other schedules. I want it to be done in time for us to dedicate our attention to the Hops and Hanks podcast along. Amelia explains it in her most recent episode, which is, I'm trying to remember what the number is, 29? I don't remember. It's the one entitled Yarn Science. And basically, she talks about it. Basically, she wants to do a charity knit-along, hats for cancer patients, and she wants to do it in either February, March, or March and April. I'm not entirely firm on the dates. I will definitely post links in my group when we get that settled. But I would encourage you to watch her most recent podcast and figure out if it's a cause that speaks to you, and I encourage you to join it. Someone that Amy knew was affected by, or Amelia, I should not call her Amy, she prefers to be called Amelia now, but someone that Amelia knew was impacted by cancer and is gone now. So I know that we've probably all had people who have been impacted by this and affected by this. If not, if not someone we knew suffered from it, then we definitely knew someone who did. There's a lot, I mean, not to be hugely serious and depressing, but there's a lot of people affected by it. I mean, my younger brother passed away at 10 months because of cancer, and it's taken something from everyone. So I think that after we've recovered from the Christmas season, and after we've done a little something to take care of ourselves, it would be a good time to reflect on what we have, our health or well-being, and knit for people who don't have their health. So more details on that as time goes on. But I think that would be a great thing that I would like to encourage people to participate in. And I don't want to have any of my knit-alongs run over it. I would like to just funnel people to that knit-along. So that's my plan. I guess the other thing to talk about is space news. If you haven't seen, NASA has launched something interesting. The Orion capsule, which is part of the solution, the Earth, Moon, Mars, and Beyond plan. Basically, the Orion is kind of like a throwback to the Apollo. The space shuttle is not really, I don't want to say it's not cost effective. It's not cost effective for everything and ever in the long term. It's decently it's not as cost effective as they wanted it to be. So they stopped launching the space shuttle, and now they're launching capsules, Orion capsules. I think that they just did a test. I don't think they actually did anything with it yet. We will see how that goes. I feel bad for not being optimistic about it, but we'll see what happens there. It's not that I don't have faith in NASA, it's that I don't really have faith in the government's ability to keep being interested in funding things like that. So, but yeah, that was exciting. So if you didn't see that, check it out. If you want my opinion on it, PM me and I'll either do research and form an opinion or tell you my opinion. Yeah. So in terms of my upcoming recording schedule, I want to get back to doing a weekly recording. I feel bad that I haven't. I feel really bad. I really want to. Granted, it's the holiday season, and there's going to be some stuff that will get in the way of that. January 1st is a Thursday, and December 25th is a Thursday. So if I podcast, like right now it's a Thursday, and I don't know if I'll keep podcasting on Thursdays or not. Weekends get really busy for me, and weekdays I am tired. So, I don't know. I'll probably try to keep to a midweek schedule because then it doesn't impact my weekend and then I'm not totally drained. So we'll see if I do something. Maybe I'll switch to Tuesday a couple weeks. We'll see. I'm really not sure what's going to happen, guys, because this is kind of transitioning into life stuff because I have a huge life change coming up and I can't talk about it this week. I can talk about it next week, and if you PM me, I can tell you about it. But it's a huge deal, and it involves a lot of effort. Like this weekend, I was going to sit at home and relax and take my boyfriend, whose birthday it is, out for sushi. And now I have to drive 6 hours and do stuff for 6 hours and then drive six more hours. So it's, without getting any specific, it's like a huge deal. And it's something I've been trying to make happen for a while, and it's finally happening, and now like everything's blowing up. So it's going to be great, and there's going to be huge improvement. But I mean, if you know me and you've talked to me and you're my close friend, you probably already know what's going on. But it's a big deal. So I will record weekly or every other week at the very least. But there might be a lot of hectic in between stuff going on that where I don't know if I can nail down a schedule yet. And then I can talk more about it next week. I'll just leave it at that. It's something where I have to finalize legal things before I can talk about it. So don't worry, it's good. It's a good life change. It's for the better. It's for the best. I am excited about it. It's sensitive right now. So that's that. In other life news, I'm trying to think about anything I've done that's not sleeping or working lately. I guess I can talk about work a little. Work's been really busy. In that I have a project that I've been working on programming wise. I'm programming like a thing that makes everything more efficient because that's the point of a program. But basically, it's coming to fruition now. It's almost done, and I've been going into work like an hour too early in the morning, which is another contributing factor to the tired. And sometimes I stay a little late too, but it's fun. It's really great. Yeah, there's some transitional stuff going on at work too. Like we all got our new assignments for sale. Like for how we're organized is I work directly with sales reps, and I'm their technical resource because I'm an engineer. And so the sales reps will come to me with projects, and I'll talk to them about them and answer questions and provide designs. And so we just got for the new year, our assignments, which sales reps we're working with. So yay! So there's been some shuffle, and then obviously there's going to be shuffle with who's sitting with who depending on who they work with, and it's just going to be a little hectic until a few weeks from now. So my life's busy but good. And I highly encourage you to check out, I'm actually kind of proud of my pictures that I took. I think they do a good job with the color. You should totally check out my stash pages and my project pages because I've been updating them. Typically the one thing I do update all the time is Ravelry. So if you want to know what I'm up to, just check Ravelry. So hopefully you enjoyed my podcast, and thank you for watching. I look forward to talking with you in the group, or talking with you elsewhere on Ravelry, or in real life, or on Facebook. Feel free to PM me with any questions, comments, observations, criticisms, anything. I hope you enjoyed my podcast, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.